First, I want to welcome everyone who's here. We have lots of folks from their respective organizations, and I just want to highlight at a high level, we're going to hear from the Speaker of the Navajo Nation. He has numerous folks from his office as well. We also have the City of Albuquerque's Human Rights Commission, and we have representatives here from that, as well as our Native American Commission that has been newly revamped and reinvigorated. And so we also have Mr. Ron Solomon here from that as well. Mm-hmm. We also have the head of our Civil Rights Office as well, Tori right here. Mm-hmm. And then we have our City Attorney and Steve Aguilar. And then we also have our Office of Equity and Inclusion representatives here too. And is Don here? Mm-hmm. Right behind me. And Don Begay as well, are one of our Native liaisons. So we're joined by a lot of folks who care deeply about this issue. And I want to speak to the what we're here today to sign with respect to this agreement in a minute, but I want to share with you two stories initially. First, for me, I have to tell one Navajo story, which isn't, it's my Navajo story. All right. Okay. I am here in many ways because of the Navajo Nation. So when my family is from Kansas, and my uncle was an accountant, and he was the first accountant for the Navajo Nation. And so back, I think it was maybe even in the 40s, all of a sudden the tribes were having to, follow accounting rules and things like this. And so they flew in a guy named Tim Keller from Chicago to do the first ever books for the Navajo Nation. And he fell in love with the land of enchantment and ended up moving here, and then my family followed him and so forth. So in many ways, I'm grateful to have just a tiny, tiny sliver of a little bit of shared history. And so for me also as mayor, we've made it a point to try and honor government-to-government relationships and consultation. And we've now enshrined that. We're the first city in America to put that into ordinance, and to also set up the commission, which Ron is on, that has representatives from all our adjacent tribal lands formally on our city commission. Again, this is a shared governance model that is the first of its kind in the country that recognizes sovereignty. And so we have your adjoining chapter, Tohajali has a representative that sits there for us, or with us. And so we will also want to get to work. And that's in part what this MOU is about. Mm-hmm. So this MOU is an extension of a lot of work that a lot of the folks around me have already been doing, and have been doing in many cases for a large part of their career. But this specifically has to do with addressing the challenges around discrimination against citizens of the Navajo Nation and people of color in the city of Albuquerque. And it, in some ways, goes back to some of the terrible incidents dating back to July 2014, when we had the tragic deaths of Key Thompson and Allison Gorman, who of course were killed in Albuquerque as they were experiencing homelessness on our streets. But we see this continue. In December 2017, we had Ardra Willis found dead in the foothills. That investigation is still ongoing. There has been some progress made on that. And then as late as March 18th with Ronnie Ross, who was shot and killed. And so we agree that we have to do more together to try and promote healthy, positive relationship between our communities. And at least as a large city, we'll exclude Gallup just a little bit. As a large city, we know that I believe, have the highest population of Native Americans that's not a border town directly sort of to a major population center on a reservation. So we know that core to who we are as a city is also core to who we are for all the communities around us, especially the Native American lands around us. And so for us, this is about an agreement that strengthens our effort to promote our diversity, but also respect for our sovereign neighbors, and also how to help each other in our times of need. Of course, the Albuquerque also funds the Albuquerque Indian Center, which does a lot of work with the homeless community in the Southeast Heights as well. So we're trying to bring all this together to make it work better and be more helpful. So this agreement together will help us implement education, outreach strategies, and of course relationships, and give us an enhanced way to discuss specific issues between the city and the nation. And we're also going to make sure that we investigate the outcomes and share the information coming out of these kinds of both when it's a public safety issue, but also some of the efforts that the Commission and the Human Rights Commission are up to. So with that, Speaker, we'd be honored if you'd share a few words with us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you again, Mayor. I think one of the most important things I can honestly just say is thank you for welcoming us into the city limits, thank you for welcoming us here to your boardroom and trying to identify some of the big circulating things that we within Indian country, specifically on the Navajo Nation, are trying to look for and try to fight for our people. And we have a tendency sometimes just to look at the insides of our four sacred mountains. But outside our four sacred mountains, there's a lot of our individuals too move out here and to our bigger cities that provide education, opportunity, needs, and jobs. And that's something that we're really looking at. And with the city of Albuquerque being one of the most, I guess, indigenous place within the United States, I think that has identified this memorandum of understanding to really look at not only who we are as Navajo people, but as a breakthrough for the rest of the Indian countries, for the Indian nations within the United States, or even externally within the Americas, you know. Because I think this is a stepping stone in order for us to really try to identify what kind of goals we can work with not only county, city, state level, but more importantly with the federal government, in trying to identify new areas of interest, new areas of opportunity to help our people, to help grow our people, to help strengthen our people, but help them out in a diverse area where they're not getting as much support or services directly from not only their tribe, but most importantly, they're getting services directly from individuals who are in the inner cities, in urban areas like the city of Albuquerque. I do really want to point out the efforts of this and the long-standing efforts from the Navajo Human Rights Commission and the Navajo Human Rights Office, who has been spearheading this. To your right there, we have Chairwoman Danette Dale, who's going to speak probably after me. But I really want to give some time over to Mr. Leonard Gorman, who it's been his sole career to identify the certain structures, certain needs, and most importantly, the certain skills that we need to go ahead and express to everybody outside of our four sacred mountains to really respect and honor not only Navajo people, but our women nation, our children, our elders, and in the more important subsidies of how it is to be not only a Navajo, but an individual of color, an individual of some kind of ethnicity that is not inclusive to what we have grown to and what this climate of America is trying to change or might be changing right now. And I think that's something that we really want to go ahead and express. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to your staff, to your lawyers, to the current Commission of Human Rights within the city that I just now found out that you do have. That's awesome. And I think that most importantly, the expertise that your staff brings to the table and honing that homage to respecting not only what we have here today, but I do really want to thank you that this is a stepping stone in order for us to not make the state of New Mexico is a leader, is the number one leader within the United States that respects, honors, and most importantly acknowledges Native American sovereignty. And that's something I think that's another tool that we see here that we can go ahead and educate to the rest of the United States was what's taking place here. Mm-hmm. And that's something that you dedicated with your leadership here. And from the Navajo Nation Council, the speaker, I think this is one of the most impressive days that we can go ahead and change and strengthen and moving forward in a relationship. So, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Mr. Gorman, do you want to say a few words? I know. Okay.
I'm next.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes. Doctor.
Yes, I want to introduce myself in my own language first. She Jennifer Danette Dale and she. Ogan Shlon Ashihi Bashachin Kilachini Dashache to a headlini Dashanella with our son, and that's how I'm a Navajo woman. I am a resident of Albuquerque, and I vote here in Albuquerque. I am a professor of American Studies at the University of New Mexico, and I was appointed to the commission in 2011, and I have served 9 years. I now serve as the chair of the commission. I'd also like to offer a land acknowledgement and thank the indigenous peoples of this lands, the Pueblos, the Sandias, the San Ana, the Kiowa, and the Isleta, for our being on their lands, and thank them. I also want to thank Mayor Kelly for meeting with us today, and on behalf of the Navajo Nation, we are here to strengthen the Navajo Nation's relationship with the City of Albuquerque. I thank the Navajo Nation Council, Speaker of the Council, Seth Damon, and the chairs of the standing committees of the Navajo Nation Council, some of whom are here with us. James Hinio, Budget and Finance Committee, Daniel So, who is here, of the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee, Eugenia Charles Newton, Law and Order Committee, and Ricky Nez of the Resources Development Committee, for being with us here today in Albuquerque on behalf of the Navajo Nation, and also very much for the Council's support of the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission. You are our oversight. I'd also like to thank Mr. Ron Solomon, who's Commissioner of Indian Affairs for the City of Albuquerque. It has taken some time to come to this moment to sign a memorandum of understanding with Albuquerque. We are pleased and look forward to fostering transformative and positive relations between the City of Albuquerque and the Navajo Nation. We strive for strengthening communication so that we may be able to serve the needs of the Navajo people who live and work in this city, and for those of us who come here to this city for necessities and services. This understanding is especially appropriate when our Navajo people have been troubled by the violence within the city, particularly with the brutal beatings and deaths of 2 Navajo men, Allison Gorman and Key Thompson, who were sleeping in the streets in 2014 when they were attacked by 3 non-Native American teens. The commission worked with Gorman and Thompson families in order to see that justice was served and that Navajo human rights are protected and ensured. This sense of urgency on the mistreatment of Navajos, who are the most vulnerable in the city, was further exacerbated by the heinous murder of Ronnie Ross in 2018. Ross, a 50-year-old man from Shiprock, was shot a dozen times by 2 non-Native men. These are only 2 of many missing and murdered Dene relatives within the Albuquerque area. In the aftermath of these murders, the Commission came into the city to address issues relating to, but not limited to, the police violence, the conditions of our Navajo people who are on the streets, and most recently, the Commission's public hearings on the mistreatment of Navajo and Native students in the public school system. This issue was directly related to the incident at Cibola High School, in which a Navajo student was subjected to racism. With this understanding, the Commission strives to build a relationship with the city that will make this place a better place for our people. We will continue to address and combat racism and human rights violations, and look forward to working with the city to ensure a positive environment is provided for our citizens. We are proud of the advocacy we have performed on behalf of the Navajo Nation, including working with the City of Albuquerque, of the City of Flagstaff, for example, on educating their police force and newly recruited law enforcement with a Navajo cultural sensitivity training, which included hands-on and the establishment of a citizen liaison committee that has direct communication with the chief of police, and also this work was duplicated in the city of Winslow. These are just a few of the ways in which the Commission have advocated for Navajo human rights and civil rights. I hope this executed understanding will bring about a fruitful partnership for both the Navajo Nation and the City of Albuquerque. Thank you.
Well put. Yeah.
Mayor, maybe we could give some time over to Mr. Leonard Gorman.
Sure.
And then we could close it out with our chairman from the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yate to are tais na tsaingi koko kuroshi de atis to adonda altso atis kinas in inslon des chini was chin adonda nagai nazan hol yeden de daixi nasato tokhane shalchin data. Greetings to the folks that are on the watching the television. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for inviting us into your office, and Chair Cadet Dale, Speaker Damon, and Council Delegate Soap. Just 2 points. Human rights is a very interesting, dynamic, and very high standard than civil rights. All civil rights are human rights. But in America, much of what is considered rights are grounded in individuality, individualness. But as human rights, indigenous rights, it involves collective rights. And it's a really profound way of thinking about a rights of all peoples. And as a people, Navajo people, we have a collective right over our culture, our language, our history, and also the natural setting. And it's very inspiring to ensure that the city has a human rights body. And it needs to be expanded to also cover various aspects of human rights, including indigenous human rights, as we are on the lands of the Pueblos, and recognizing the various traditional ways and means that the Pueblo people have recognized this land is very, very important. Secondly, this MOU has served for us as the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission, a body of the Navajo government, to inspire our relationship with cities surrounding the Navajo Nation. We have several MOUs, and we have had very fruitful relationships with the cities that we've engaged. As an example, the last activity that we have embarked upon was with the City of Winslow. The City of Winslow instituted a community relations committee. And the City of Winslow also recognized that it's not about the city limits. It's also about the different peoples, the diversity of the peoples that are in their community, predominantly the Navajo people that come to the north, from the north into their city. And with that recognition, the city recognized that it's also important to incorporate in their daily activities as relations with the city police, to have the chapters, the Navajo chapters surrounding the City of Winslow, to be a part of the process, to be a part of the decision-making process, and to be a part of the evaluation of police activities. So I think that is a very good example that we share with you, Mayor, with this MOU. The good that have come out of many of these MOUs, and we definitely look forward to engaging on many of these activities. We can talk about many of these problems all day, all week, all year. But I think the reality here is that we're embarking upon a relationship, a good relationship, intended to address many of these different concerns that we all have. Thank you, Mayor, Madam Chair, Speaker, and Mr. Solomon. Shanai.
Oh, ja, eigenlijk snidoli. Che Sanjikanen so managed as Kachi, Basashi, Paskasni Basachi, Kodo, Nan Ajin do, Aro not on it, Bishbas on it, Ari, Niadabopa. In that way, touching base with the ground here, with the air, and all the elements. I introduce myself. It's unfortunate that crimes had to occur to focus on human rights. It's unfortunate that blood was shed. But from that is the realization that the Navajo people that come to the city bring in their talents. They come here for education. They bring economy, gross receipts tax, in even the fact that the Navajo Nation interacts with companies and corporations that have distribution centers here that bring food and other necessary items for the hospitals, for the schools. So that basically is a relationship that exists, that is far and away from the rights of the individuals that come here. They bring dollars to the universities in the way of tuition. I guess the other part that really has to be acknowledged is the Navajo Nation basically renovated a building within the campus of UNM so that the students could basically reside as a community. And that, in fact, draws a good reinforcement. Knowing people that are close to you just brings about success, and that's the part that we have to realize. We have over close to 4,000 students in the public school of Albuquerque. Additionally, we have many residents from the eastern portion that commute into town, work, and go home. So those are some aspects that I think also needs to be recognized. And we thank the mayor for being a good host. We thank the mayor for endorsing this memorandum of understanding. And that acknowledgement through the organization, we hope that more opportunities, and then especially the acknowledgement that even the homeless people need to be taken care of. They are our brothers, they are our sisters, they are our relatives. And so those are the folks that really we need to extend our hand to and help them. And we hope that it goes into the extension of mental and behavioral health services, as well as social services. And a lot of them are armed services veterans. And we have to acknowledge that they are in the state, that we need to give them a helping hand. And that's, I hope that the city continues and basically pollinates those services, that there would be a growth that would bear fruit, bear a harvest to help other folks that are unfortunate. And again, to acknowledge our indigenous relatives, Pueblos. Listening to their stories, 13 Pueblos used to exist here. And that has basically gone into 4. So we acknowledge our brothers to the south, to the north, and in that manner. Certainly, that's where the chairman of the city's Human Rights Commission brings that dynamic into this perspective. And thank you to the commission and to the Civil Rights Office for focusing on this matter. And again, thank you, Mayor. And much thanks to the City Council also.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, I want to thank everyone who shared these words, both of respect and also of inspiration and of truth to the challenges that we face together. And you know, we have a saying here in town called "One Albuquerque," and it means we're all in it together, regardless of where we came from or regardless of what our story is. We respect that story, and we tell each other's story, and we learn from each other's story, but we help each other because we all need to come together to deal with issues around even as you mentioned, addiction and homelessness, some of these issues that are plaguing our entire community. So also, I just want to echo the speaker's remarks around, we hope this is a role model. We hope in many ways Albuquerque is always at the forefront of how we can help our indigenous neighbors, but we also hope others copy us. And so let's work on the county next, especially because they can help a lot with the addiction piece. And so with that, I think we'll go ahead and do our signing here. And I think, thanks Jesse, I think we have enough. If you want to use a separate pen, those who are signing, you can. It's up to you. It's kind of a fun tradition.
Yeah.
So I'll sign one and hand it that way, and then the other way, and then it'll go like this for a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to start with this one, and yeah, grab a pen there, and at least for this one, I'll see if I can get most of them used. So. All right, so I hand that to you. There you go.
What's the date? August.
That's a good question.
9. 8, 9.
Okay, about half there. There. Oh, you already got it. Nice. Okay. So, all right, there you go. Try not to get those two mixed up.
Are these all?
Oh my goodness, are there 5? All right, we can do that. So, let me see if I can keep these in order. All right.
The date on that one, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks. I forgot the date on both of these. You said it was the 9th.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that one's done. Go.
I don't have a fancy iWatch, so
I
it doesn't tell me the date on mine.
know there's no clock in here either. It's like a casino.
It's better.
That's ready for you. There we go. Let's see about it. Yep. You're a pro at that. You can tell you've signed a lot of legislation.
That's what the speakers of the House do.
That's
Yeah.
right. You got that down. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we look forward to working together. That was great. Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
One more.
Oh, one more left?
Yeah, right there.
No,
Yeah, that one.
That one?
Oh, almost. There we go. Doctor.
no.
Speaker.
Speaker. Mr. Mayor, since I was supposed to do the invocation.
Oh, you want to close?
Close it?
I'd be honored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with these done, we're going to do a close from our chairman,
Okay.
Mr. Solomon. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you all stand, and with your permission, Mr. Speaker and Mayor Keller, I
Yes.
just need to ask for your permission to
Oh.
do this. Then Don. So I'm going to just say a few words and carry as part of our prayer, and then maybe carry into English here. So just in reverence to our Creator and all those things that we're appreciative of today, just join me in this prayer, however you choose to. We miss you now, and this year, the Amshadan is the Sayawakshana, Sayhopati, Stiamsha, the Yanitsapasha to a City of Albuquerque, Zesha, Mayor Keller, at Yanis, Zesha, Share Watzik, Speaker of the House, Awetzi, Zekwiesha, at Yanisi, it's teacher shit da. Wrote down it's a game Marshall Power run million at DCani. It's a deep guazi, Genia Amo Hanotse, the Indiacos, the Albuquerque Juna. Squanimus, it's a Hoy Diawadran, she say, help by India stop us at this Diamshe. Next year, I Diamshe. Dawai, Munity, Pawamats and do it a yarn, it's up us, this yarn. To make it's a tea game, Marshall School Dran, she waits, says, Dan Doc Dop, it's in the Hano station. Kutsi as Asha. Da sweet da way to she, and next year Diamshe, next year use it, yes, it's a yo, it's a among. Promote as a grease station, die, say hopa, this the amsha, squanum, at the yard, and she waits, dan doc. So, thank you, and words just to our Creator and all those in the spiritual realm. Just words of gratitude that we could all be here together as brothers and sisters, and that we're looking out for the welfare of all Native people. Through the signing of this document, and then especially in recognition of those that have passed on under dire circumstances that really made this possible here today, through what they endured, but it brought to clear perspective what needed to get done here. And prayers for our leadership here, both for the city with Mayor Keller and his leadership, and then also for the leadership of the Navajo Nation, in all regards at the council level, and then for the commission, for everybody that's trying to do the right thing to honor those in the past. And we all collectively honor our ancestors as we come together as brothers and sisters here today and offer our gratitude to powers that are much greater than us. And also just I ask for blessings for all of you as you return back to your areas of leadership within your tribal organizations, within the city of Albuquerque, as we work to protect the human rights of our population, both native and non-native here in the city of Albuquerque. And so that was my prayer. That's it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.